All right, let's dive right in. The chicken or the egg? It's a question for the ages right there.
Okay.
But today, we're going beyond the philosophy, going to get into some actual science. We've got this great article from the Times of India.
Yeah?
So before we get started, I'm curious. Chicken or egg? What's your gut tell you?
You know, it's funny. It seems like such a simple question.
Right.
But then you start thinking about it, and well, this article really gets into the weeds. I was really interested to see what they had to say.
Okay, so you're not going to give me your gut. Chicken or egg? Which came first?
Well, the thing is, it's not so simple. That's what I love about this article.
Oh, I love it when it gets complicated.
Yeah. The article kind of blows the whole thing wide open. To really understand the chicken and the egg thing, you got to zoom out. We're talking evolution here. Way back to the very first amniotes.
Amniotes. Now, there's the word I haven't heard in a while.
The amniotes were these. Well, I mean, they weren't creatures exactly, more like a whole type of animal. And they were the first ones to figure out how to make eggs that could survive out of water.
Okay, so like before that, it was all fish eggs. That makes sense.
Exactly. And those jelly-like eggs, those wouldn't work on land at all.
Not even a little. So amniotes, they had a different kind of egg?
Completely different. We call it the amniotic egg. It's why these guys were able to conquer the land.
Okay, that's huge.
Mm-hmm.
So these amniotic eggs,
Oh.
are we talking hard shell, like what we see in the store?
Well, not quite. The really amazing stuff that was all happening inside the egg, the amniotic egg, it's got all these membranes, this whole system for keeping the embryo alive. Think about it. It could breathe. It had its own little food supply. It could even get rid of waste, all without leaving the egg.
Wow. That's like the first mobile nursery.
It's pretty incredible. And that innovation, that's what let life really take off on land.
Okay, I'm with you so far, but we still haven't answered the question. Chicken or egg?
Right. Well, we got to talk timelines, right?
Hit me.
So those awesome amniotes, they showed up around 340 million years ago.
340 million. That's a long time.
It is. And chickens, they don't come along until much, much later. We're talking like 58,000 years ago.
So, I mean, just based on that, egg wins, right? Hands down.
You would think, wouldn't you? But the article, it throws in this whole other thing.
Oh, no. Don't tell me it's not that easy.
It's science. It's rarely easy. There's this protein, see? It's called OC17, and it's only found in chicken ovaries.
Okay, now I'm really lost. What does this OC17 do? Why do we even care?
So this OC17, it's basically the key ingredient for making those hard-shelled eggs we're all used to. Without it, no chicken eggs as we know them.
So even though eggs have been around forever, the chicken egg, I mean the classic chicken egg, that needed a chicken to come first.
It's a real head-scratcher, isn't it? It's like the article says, mutual dependency. You've got the chicken and the egg totally intertwined.
It's like evolution took a break from natural selection and invented the buddy system.
I
like it. But hold on. Before we get too far, can we talk about those first eggs? The proto-eggs? I mean, they couldn't have been like the eggs we see today, right?
Oh, absolutely not. This is where it gets really wild to think about. The article, it doesn't get into the nitty-gritty, but imagine like leathery shells or maybe even parchment-like, kind of like what some reptiles have today.
That is wild. Those ancient eggs, they were practically a different species of egg. It makes you appreciate how far things have come. Speaking of which, this article, it talks a bit about modern farming. Anything in there stand out to you?
Yeah, it does mention it, although it's not really the main focus. I think the big takeaway is just how different things are now. You know, with farms, it's all controlled environments, super efficient. A far cry from those early amniotes laying their eggs out in the wild.
That's true. We've gone from survival of the fittest to, well, breakfast. Which, speaking of breakfast, how do they stack up nutritionally? Chicken versus egg.
Now, that's the real question, right? And the article does touch on that. If you're looking for lean protein, it seems like chicken has the edge.
Okay, chicken's got the protein. What about eggs?
They've got their own thing going on. Not as much protein, but they've got a good mix of protein and fats, which is important. Plus, you've got your vitamins, D, B12, all that good stuff. And then you've got your minerals.
Minerals, like what?
Iron, selenium, and even antioxidants. They're like little nutritional powerhouses.
Sounds like it's a tie. Both good for you,
Yeah.
just in different ways.
Exactly. It's all about finding what works best for you. This article, I don't think it's trying to tell anyone what to eat. It's more about understanding the options, right?
Okay, so after all this digging, all this research, have we finally answered the question? Which came first? The chicken or the egg?
Well, that's the thing about science, isn't it? Sometimes the more you learn,
The more you realize you don't know.
well, not always, but in this case, it definitely makes you think.
So no definitive answer. You're going to leave me hanging.
It's tricky. I mean, if we're being really specific, talking about the chicken egg we know with the hard shell and all that, then yeah, the chicken probably came first. But, and this is important.
We got to remember those proto-eggs.
Exactly. We're talking millions of years of evolution before chickens even showed up. It just blows my mind. Those early eggs, they were the key to everything. Life on land, I mean.
So it's a draw, a tie. Is that what we're saying?
I think it depends. How do you define first? That's the real question. For me, the biggest takeaway from this whole article, it's the idea of like mutual dependency. Things aren't always so black and white.
It's more of a dance, not a straight line.
Exactly. A dance. Evolution, it's got its own rhythm.
Well, that dance, it definitely gave us something good to eat. I gotta say, this whole conversation, it's got me looking at eggs a little differently.
That's what we like to hear.
So we've tackled the big questions. Chicken or egg? The evolution of life on land. We even talked about nutrition. But we can't wrap things up without giving our listeners something to think about.
Always got to have a little homework, right?
Right. So here's your challenge, listeners. If you could design the perfect egg, what would you do? Go nuts. Want a stronger shell, different yolk, maybe some extra vitamins? Let us know. And that's it for this deep dive. We'll catch you
Until next time,
for
stay
another
curious,
fascinating
everyone.
Look at the world around us.